Hi guys, how are you all? Hope you're all safe at home and are able to manage the academic assignments during this lockdown period. Theory, I'm sure you're all able to manage very well through the online classes, but practicals may be a bit of a problem. As far as oral pathology subject is concerned, I just thought of helping you guys with the practical assignment, that is record writing, through small videos. My every video will have one histopathology lesion with the explanation of it and step-by-step instruction to how to go about drawing them. Please make use of them and I'm sure they will be of help to you. Thank you. See you all soon. Bye. This is the vermilion zone, that is the lipstick area of the lip. You can see that it is a transitional zone from skin to the mucous membrane inside. This is the lining mucosa of the lip. This is the vermilion border and this is the skin area. So we will be learning the drawing, the histopathology drawing of this vermilion zone. What is vermilion zone? It is the zone on the lip which is the lipstick area of the lip. Why is it called vermilion zone? Because the meaning of vermilion is bright red. So this is the area which is highly vascular and appears slightly pinkish and more reddish compared to the skin and the mucous membrane. Basically this is the transitional zone between the skin and the mucous membrane. Okay, to understand how to draw, we need to understand the components of it. The first thing is this particular transitional zone consists of three areas, that is this area of skin, area of vermilion border proper, and then the mucosal part, the mucosal lining. What does the skin consist of? So every part when we are learning, we have to understand that these three parts each have epithelium and the connective tissue part. So the skin has epithelium and the connective tissue part. Similarly, the vermilion border proper and the mucosal membrane. The epithelium here in the skin is made up of orthokeratinized stratified squamous epithelium. So just here every part, every zone of this vermilion border has its peculiar feature. The epithelium is peculiar to that region and the connective tissue components for that region is very specific to the epithelium it is lined by. So here in the skin we have a epithelium which is orthokeratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and the connective tissue corresponding with it will be having adnexal structures, that is hair follicles, sebaceous glands, sweat glands, etc. Along with that we have the muscle component, that is the orbicularis oris inserted into the skin area of this zone. Next is the vermilion border proper, which has again the epithelial and the connective tissue corresponding to it. The epithelium here in this particular zone is parakeratinized epithelium, and the connective tissue contains numerous blood vessels, and which the connective tissue papillae going inside will contain lot of blood vessels, and the epithelium in this region is very thin and has a particular element which I will be explaining later. And coming to the mucosal part, again the epithelium of this mucosal part is non-keratinized, and the connective tissue portion has minor salivary mucus acini in this region. Okay, so these are the components corresponding to the epithelium and the connective tissue of each zone. Now let's start drawing the vermilion zone. And just that we need to also remember that this is the area which generally goes dry. So once we understand why, what are the components of this area, we will understand why this area is dry compared to the other areas of the vermilion zone. Okay, so let's start with drawing. See, as I said that we are during lockdown period, we may not be having the stamp that we generally use for drawing the circles. Here we can use our bangles to draw a nice circle, or we can use a cup or a mug. Anyhow, just remember whatever size that was specified in your departments, that size you can use to get a circle. and you should draw the circle slightly to the side of the paper so that you can be you will be able to draw the labeling later. So this is the nice circle that we got. Now we start drawing the zones of this vermilion border. We start with a structure like this, okay, a U-shaped line which shows 3 different zones. So here this zone we will be using for orthokeratinosis, that is skin zone, and here will be the vermilion border proper, the lipstick area, and then here will be the mucosal lining. Corresponding connective tissue also we will be drawing. So here will be the part of epithelium with redder edges, and as it comes to the vermilion border proper, I'll be drawing longer redder edges to make thinner epithelium, and when it comes to the mucosal lining, it will be kind of a shallow redder edges. Okay, so this is how I'll be drawing the outlines of it. Next I'll start drawing the cells of each area. So this is the orthokeratinized area, and any epithelium which is a stratified squamous epithelium will have a nice layer of basal cells. Take care to draw a nice layer of basal cell here. Histopathology record writing is a very interesting thing. It needs little bit of hard work and dedication and interest. So please take a nice sharp pencil and with lot of interest you draw this these diagrams. As we draw, we also will understand the components of it, and writing the histopathology answers also will be much easier once we learn how to draw them. So this is how I would have drawn the basal cells. Next will be the area of spinous layer, the prickle cell layer. Here there is only scope for 2 to 3 cell layers, so we just draw so many here. Again, draw polygonal cells stacked one upon the other. Okay. Once we do this, this is the area of orthokeratinized. So we'll draw corneum, stratum corneum layer with keratin flakes. Okay, we can draw a layer of flattened cells as well in between, and the keratin layer. And we will draw the nucleus for each layer now. The basal cell layer will have nice beautiful nucleus, large ones, placed at the same location in the cytoplasm. That is the reason we get a very prominently seen layer under the microscope. This basal cell layer, we'll be seeing them as a very prominent layer. Then the spinous layer nucleus. Please make sure that you draw nucleus in all the cells that you have drawn. Okay, and here are the next flattened cell layer, and since it is an orthokeratinized epithelium, you will have that is stratum granulosum basically will have granularities in the epithelium in that particular zone. So this is orthokeratinized zone. Next will be the parakeratinized zone. This again will be the basal cells we have drawn. We'll be drawing the polygonal cells. Very few cells we will be able to draw because the scope is only so much, and also this epithelium is thinner. Okay, and here we have flattened cells. Please keep sharpening the pencils in between to get a nice you should be able to draw nicely if you have a sharp pencil. Okay, and then we have the parakeratin layer on top. This area appears, this area is thin, and the blood vessels in the connective tissue, which later I will be showing, will be seen through this thin epithelium. Also, the stratum granulosum and the keratohyalin granules in this region are called as elidin, which are kind of a transparent material. So that makes these blood vessels to be seen through the surface easily. Okay, that is the keratin layer. Now we'll draw the nucleus for this layer too. And the nucleus in the spinous layer. Area of stratum granulosum, and since it's a parakeratinized epithelium, we'll be seeing few pycnotic nuclei in the surface keratin. Next is the non-keratinized epithelial layer, which has basal cells and the polygonal cells. Don't leave spaces between the polygonal cells. Take care to draw neatly stacked up cells. And draw nucleus for this. This is the area, of course, you will be drawing the surface layer too. This is the non-keratinized part, so you will not be drawing any keratin on top. Okay, so and you draw the nucleus. And on nucleus in all the cell layers of the spinous layer. And on the surface layer, and slightly flattened cells. So this way we draw the epithelium. Now we take care to draw the connective tissue components one by zone wise. Okay, once we complete drawing the epithelium of all the zones, we start with connective tissue part. So here is the orthokeratinized area, that is the skin area, and we draw the corresponding connective tissue components in this zone. So what are those? That is say hair follicle. So we'll draw a hair follicle like this with all the cells of that area too, with the keratin area, and then a hair from it. So this is the hair coming from the hair follicle from the skin zone. Okay, so this is the next we have other structures associated with it, that is the sebaceous glands, then the sweat glands opening to the surface. So we put nucleus for these areas too. Okay, so these are the adnexal structures that we will be drawing for the orthokeratinized epithelial area. Next, coming to the parakeratinized area, the vermilion border area, we will be drawing numerous blood vessels in this zone, and the connective tissue papillae are quite highly placed close to the surface epithelium, and all these new blood vessels we will be drawing like this. Whenever we are drawing a blood vessel, we have to just draw a oval shaped structure. This is only a diagrammatic representation of a blood vessel. So you draw a oval shaped structure, and to say that they are lined by endothelial cells, we will be drawing nucleus on the surface of this, on this line, just flattened nuclei. Okay. Okay, and these are blood capillaries, and we can use orange pencil to draw the RBCs inside these capillaries. So these are blood vessels containing RBCs, and eosin takes up all these shades of pink. Okay, all these shades of pink are taken by this pencil, and if you want, we can draw another blood vessel with RBCs. So this is the area where this particular zone will appear pink because of the blood vessels underneath, right? Then we come to the area of mucosal lining. The connective tissue corresponding to it will have mucosal acini, because this is the area with which is wet, moist because of the salivary acini. The salivary gland will have the mucosal acini will have pyramidal cells, okay, and these are minor acini. Pyramidal cells, oval shaped tubular structures, acini, with nucleus, flattened nucleus at the base of the cell. If you know the structure of salivary acini, you can incorporate that learning into the diagram here too. So this will be the mucosal lining, just to show that there are clusters of acini, groups of acini in the connective tissue in this zone. And next we have to draw is the muscle tissue that is in the lip zone, the orbicularis oris muscle, which is closely corresponding to the skin portion of the epithelium. And here we will be drawing muscle bundles. These are the cross sections of the muscles. They are eosinophilic structures, so you can draw with the eosin pencil itself. And these are the slight thin septae running. Then you take care to draw the nuclei in these cells. This is the muscle bundle running in the lip. And rest of the area we will be filling with the connective tissue component, the supporting connective tissue stroma, which is basically made up of collagen fibers and all the connective tissue fibers that you can think of. Delicate fibers you draw. And you will be drawing few fibroblasts, randomly distributed. They are quite a fibroblasts. Just to draw, you can draw a few fibroblasts. Okay, and make nucleus in those fibroblasts as well. They are generally associated with the collagen fibers. You can shade this area to make the ground substance. This entire tissue is supported by the matrix, that is the ground substance present in between all the components. Don't fill the ground substance into the blood vessels or the acini. They are the luminal structures, the ground substance won't be inside them. So it's just inside in the matrix where the collagen fibers and the fibroblasts and blood vessels and all these tissues are suspended. So this is how we do the ground substance. So here is the diagram, histopathology diagram with all the components of all the zones of epithelium for Vermilion zone. So this completes the diagram of Vermilion zone. We'll start labeling this. Okay. So when we are labeling, we know that this is the zone of skin which is lined by orthokeratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified squamous epithelium. You can write the full forms of all these. Next is the underlying connective tissue contains the adnexal cell structures. Of the skin. This is the zone which is parakeratinized, that is the Vermilion border containing parakeratinized stratified squamous epithelium, and underlying connective tissue contains numerous blood vessels. Numerous blood vessels. And here is the non-keratinizing epithelium of the mucosal lining. It is non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium, corresponding connective tissue containing minor salivary acini, which is mucus in nature, mucus acini. And we have muscle bundles of orbicularis oris muscle. So this is basically the Vermilion zone. What you can see is the transitional zone from skin to parakeratinized epithelium to non-keratinized mucosal area. Here you can see that this particular area, the parakeratinized area, which we call the lipstick area and which is red, that's why it's called Vermilion zone, Vermilion border, which has lot of blood vessels, but it lacks the oil glands or the sweat glands that the skin has, or the and it also lacks the mucus glands that the mucosal lining area has. So because of this lack of such glands, this particular area dries faster. Okay, that is the reason we need to apply the moistures or lip creams to keep that area moist, because it doesn't have any glands that can give the moisture from inside. Okay, so this is the understanding of Vermilion zone. Hope it is clear. Any doubts, you can please contact and ask us. Thank you. Bye.